Redeeming grace. It was God's redeeming grace that changed my life. I'm still broken, but not broken exactly the way I was before. His grace came in and changed everything within me. I've been awakened. Though my heart was shrouded in darkness, He pierced through the veil of darkness that covered my soul and enwrapped me and engulfed me. But He set me free. See, we specialize in a God that can use any and everything. All He needs is a yielded vessel for His purpose, and He will fill you with His purpose if you stop chasing things that are considered ultimately worthless. See, we're chasing money, we're chasing wealth, we're chasing fame. We're chasing everything that will not last and will not stand the test of time, and yet we're wondering, why can't God use me where I am right now? Well, He can, but you haven't yielded your vessel unto Him. God will not use a vessel that will not yield unto His will. God will not force His purpose down your throat. You see, that is a choice that each of us must make. Because His word says in Jeremiah that He knows the plans that He has for us. It's His plans for our lives and His will and His purpose. But get this. If we fail to follow along with the path that He has already chosen for us, using the free will that exists within each and every one of us, we will ultimately miss our purpose, miss our calling, miss our faithfulness, miss our reward that is yet stored up in heaven, all because we chose to go about it our own way. Instead of obeying God and following His voice and adhering to His calling, we chose to follow our own self, and we end up a part of the fallen. But many people refuse to wake up. We want to blame God for our faults and our failures and our pains and our struggles and our trials and our tribulations. But we want to give Him no glory when it comes time to it because we feel like we in ourselves have obtained any type of victory that we see. That is the failure of man, to believe themselves greater than they actually are, to believe themselves more perfect and more whole and complete than they actually are. But I'm praying that these words reach you and that they teach you that even in our brokenness or even in our perceived perfection, God still uses these broken vessels for His purpose. See, many of us are chasing purpose, chasing money, chasing dreams, chasing fame. When in reality, we should be chasing God and He will give those things to us. Because it is His will that we will perfect the gift that He has yet worked in us. But we cannot perfect the gift that God has placed down on the inside of us without first placing our trust in Him, without first being obedient to Him, without first giving sacrifices to Him, without first committing our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls to Him. You see, a life that is not committed to God is a life that cannot be used. And a life that cannot be used is a life that has failed to ultimately understand that God has such great plans for you. See, I want to say this and I want it to be abundantly clear. So I will slow it down a bit and just say this and say this as simple as possible. To fulfill the God-given purpose that you have, to get the ultimate, to get the most out of everything that God has planted on the inside of you, you have to yield your vessel to God. Surrender your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul to the King. And allow God to work out that perfect will of salvation in your life so that He can ultimately take you higher than you could even begin to imagine. Because even in our own vain imaginations, we cannot even begin to fully comprehend all that God has planned. So are you a vessel that is willing to yield to God, or you can continue to pursue your own God-given purpose that you've imagined in your own imagination? I'm praying that these words and they find you and they find you well, and that God would release you from the shackles of thinking that you need to be exactly like everyone else in this world. That God will release you from that self-righteous mindset that you might have and that you might be struggling with. That He would free you from the sins that so willingly allow you to remain bound. I pray these words find you well, and they help you find the freedom that you need to pursue God, to obey God, to follow God. And that even in your brokenness, that you would trust God to be able to use you, to redeem you, to forgive you, and to restore you in total and complete restoration, freeing you from the sin that you once lived in.